A very good afternoon to all of you. Welcome to Password's largest web conference with Professional Certification of Excellence in Teaching, Day 3, organized in collaboration with SM Don Bosco University. I, Prasanna Das, editor at Password Publishers, welcome you all to the Certification of Professional Excellence in Teaching, a much awaited session conducted by Ms. Jyoti Soro, a veteran educator and a great resource person with innumerable training sessions to her credit. In the last session, we listened to Mr. Binish Menon, who took us through a sequence of picturesque images and useful ideas, finally leading us towards its crescendo of visualizing a real celebration of learning within classrooms. From the first day's session by Father Francis M. Peter with great tips regarding effective learning, through the collaboration and celebration of learning within classrooms, we have now reached the great concept of the power of play and the building of skills, attitudes, and competencies. Yes, today's theme is the power of play, building skills, attitudes, and competencies. Before we just move towards the inauguration of our session, a few things about our assessments. Most of us completed again our assessment successfully, yet there are some queries regarding the accessibility and the link, the procedure regarding the assessments, taking of assessments. So let me just show you a demo video regarding all these things with all the specifications and move on to Srijit.
Assessments are a very important part of our certificate program on professional excellence in teaching. To submit your assessments, log into our website www.passwordbooks.in. Scroll up our website and you will find the link to submit your assessment. Click on the link and this will lead to a survey page. Start with the assessment. You can fill your credentials. You can fill the answers for the simple questions provided on the sheet and then click submit. You have another option to give your assessment using our Facebook page. So search for Password Publishing House and the assessment form is available on our page as well. Follow the same process and submit your answers. In case you have missed to submit the assessment for day 1 that is available on our Facebook page, you will have to scroll down a bit to find the link and you can submit your assessments.
Welcome back again. So, dear teachers, please follow these procedures, and the link is available every day after each session in our website and also in the Facebook page. After each session, you can go towards these either the website link or the FB page link. And please do not forget to like our page, follow us, and also comment in the comment boxes. Thank you. And let's start now this much awaited session by inviting our chief guest, Mr. Mukesh Shelar, Principal of Delhi Public School, Varanasi. He's an educator by choice, as he puts it proudly, and has a veteran teaching and leadership background of over 25 years, starting from Bharatiya Vidya Bhavan's International Residential School in Kodaikanal and leading premium schools like Sardar Patel Vidyalaya, Delhi, Welham Boys School, Dehradun, and Global Indian International School. As with his training experience, he has been on the panel of CBSE and many publishing groups. His clientele of schools ranges over Bluebells International School, GD Goenka Schools, the Millennium Schools, Mount Lidrazi Schools, Edify Schools, and a lot more. So it's my great pleasure to invite you to inaugurate the session and illuminate our inquisitive and eager minds with your words of wisdom. Welcome, sir.
Thank you. Jai Hind and good evening to all present here. Since we are constrained with time, I will very quickly limit my session to about 5 minutes. While Prasid starts to present the slide, I just wish to use the words play and password because they seem to be the leitmotif this evening. Play is the password too, and I will leave every participant to complete this sentence. Play is a password to ... Your responses can range from physical well-being to mental well-being. Your responses can range from the cognitive through the affective and to the psychomotor domains. But for me, personally, play is a password to joyful learning, and play is a password to a lot of therapeutic values that we could have in children. Over the 25 years that I have been principal in various schools in India, I have always used and focused on play as a therapy. Well, a little more on that on another date and time if we have an opportunity. Prasid, is the slide ready? Otherwise, I will simply describe the activity which I thought I would conduct with you if we had had time. Well, on the screen, you will see a few images. The image of the third slide, Prasid. That's right. You see the image of a button, a few books, and a jacket. And you also see the image of a hand. Now, the activity that you would do in an online session with little children is put up pictures like these and tell them, listen, all that you need to do is switch on your camera and try and unbutton your shirt or button your shirt, depending on what you wish to do. Ask them to put a book back in the bag, or remove a book from the bag, or put on a jacket or remove a jacket. But conditions apply. The condition is don't use your thumb at all. And I'm sure children will enjoy having fun there. You will see that, responses will come to you, says, I'm not able to do it. To somebody will say, I did it with a lot of difficulty. And one child, when I did my session in the ECE classroom, I think 3 weeks ago with the same one, the child asked me, can I take the help of my mother who also will not use the thumb? And that's how creative children are. And that's how, play can become, a trigger to a lot of brain cells working on it. Once you've done that, we analyze it and we can move from perhaps the simple to the complex discussion. And I took the session right up to saying that, listen, we have a thumb. There are a lot of people who don't have it. So let's count our blessings, enjoy what we have, link it to COVID times where this year perhaps for all of us has been a year of appreciation rather than fulfillment of desires. With these words, I will leave you to enjoy Jyoti Swaroop as well as the session of play by Jyoti Swaroop, my good old friend. Thank you very much for listening to me.
Thank you, sir. And yes, as he said rightly, it's a year of great appreciation rather than of fulfillment of all our aspirations. We can just maybe, put them aside and hone our skills and later on think about achieving them. Thank you, sir, for enlightening us with the flashes of your wisdom and sagacity. It's time now to welcome our resource person, Ms. Jyoti Swaroop, a senior academic consultant in the sector of education with unique and pioneering contributions. She has been in the teaching, leadership, authoring, and training sessions for almost 40 years in the past. She has authored a number of books for various publications have worked as content head and done a huge number of academic audits and trained teachers for all these years. She has a penchant for professional development activities, and her body of works include Business English Certificate Training, Young Learners English Examiner, being the examiner for Young Learner English, trainer for the Teacher Empowerment Program conducted by Wipro, Infosys, CBSE, and a number of such reputed institutions. She has conducted workshops on English language teaching, ELT, the dynamics of communication, learning environment for the 21st century learner, activity based approach to learning, teaching skills and strategies, educational methodologies, storytelling as a transactional process, parenting, motivation and self enhancement, and a lot more. And her career trajectory won't be complete with few more specifications. She is a certified practitioner for NLP, neuro linguistic programming, and was a columnist for The Hindu in school tabloid and has a long association with Doordarshan as a freelancer, writing scripts, working on documentaries, and conducting interviews on a wide range of topics. Welcome, ma'am. We are all curiously, anxiously, enthusiastically waiting for uh, the great words of wisdom, learning tips, teaching learning tips, and many more. Welcome.
Yeah. Thank you, Prasanna. May I go ahead? Yeah, thank you. Thank you. Thank you to Paul, an old colleague, and hello and bye, Mukesh, and thank you very much. I hope you're hanging around. Play. Just when I thought it was going to be very easy, I had a difficult time trying to coin a title. When Password asked me for a title, I came up with so many other things. And finally, we came up with the title of The Power of Play. And as Mukesh started off by saying, play is indeed powerful. Someone once said that between acting in a stage play or in a movie, between a comedy and a tragedy, comedy was serious business. It is more difficult to do a comedy than a drama or any other genre, right? So I think play is powerful. I remember when earlier, when my kids were young, we had this He-Man who said, I have the power. And I think when we really get children to play, we do have the power. So I'm just going to open up interaction. I would like you all to text me. I can see there are about close to 200 participants. I'm going to give you a rough idea of how I'm going about it. I'm going to open a couple of questions and I want you all to type in the answers. I'm looking at you at chat. I'm following you on chat and I'm also following you on Facebook. There are over 1,000 participants on Facebook, right? So I'm going to ask you 2 questions and I'm looking for your responses and then I'm going to show you a couple of videos. And then at the end, I'm going to share a PowerPoint and all the material that you would want, all the text material that you want, you can just take it from the PowerPoint. So my first question to you is, children at the ECCE level are between 3 and 8, right? So imagine that they are now 20 years ahead. Your children in the ECCE have left school and they are 20 years ahead of school. My question to you is, what skills and abilities and competencies do they need to be 20 years from now in the world ahead? Can I start having responses, please? I can see Sheba Philip. Can we start having responses? Yes, Sheba, I can see you smile at me. Usha Kumari. I want you to write to me. You're all typing out your schools. I want you to chat with me. Yes, you started. Nasni Mohammed, great. That's the first response I'm seeing. Confident, independent individuals. Yes. Sarima Devi, collaboration, lovely. You guys, you have started. Technology skill. I'm also following it on Facebook. They should be independent. Neetu Joseph, yes. Experience, self-confidence. social responsibility, imagination. Go on, I'm looking for more. I'm looking for more leadership. I'm following it. Artificial intelligence, Monisha, on Facebook. Excellent. Yes, go on. They need good language skills, communication skills. Right, go on. What else? What else? I'm looking for more responses. My question to you is responsibilities. I repeat my question. 20 years from now, your children are in the field, working at home, creative thinking. Jisa, yes. I'm looking confidence, independence, personality. Asha Nair, yes. Do I know Asha? Emotional, language development, social development, technology skills, all getting a lot of response from Facebook. Communication skill, yes, I think she'll be able to live a happy life, yes. Kalyani Balakrishna, good decision-making ability, good decision-making abilities, leadership, self-confidence. All right, values, Kala Raj, yes, Kala, thank you, values, yes. Let me just take a little more responses if there's any variety. I hope you are reading as you go on. I'm looking at Facebook now, looking for some ability, creative, confidence. Right, so I guess I'm getting about the same character development skills, yes, moral values, yes. Right, I think we've already covered a whole lot of skills, excellent, Jiju. Self-learners, yes, we want them to be, hard work and street smart, Himlata Ramesh, excellent. Do I know Hima? Adjustment, Kala, yes, yes. There are some familiar names. My colleagues are here, right? Okay, good, very good. Right, I think we have already captured skills, abilities. Sridevi Krishnadas, innovative. Yes, we need them to be innovative. Mental, aesthetic, social, Smita Raj, yes. Aesthetic, social development. Let me take a look at Facebook so that I don't miss out on these guys here. Yes, right. So what is an ability? An ability is something that you are able to do, right? And critical thinking, Roja, adaptability, meritorious. You're giving me lovely responses now. I hope you can track all these. Please make a note. These responses you are giving is just not for me, it's for all of you, right? These are all lessons for all of you. So what is an ability? An ability is that we're able to do something. What is a skill? A skill is something that you hone, that you can practice, that you can work on, that you can develop, right? Only if you have the skill will you be able to do something. So in English, we do a lot of activities like I can do this, I can do that, I can do this, I can do that. The children will not be able to do things unless we equip them with skills. Skills can be honed, skills can be practiced. Skill is something that we must expose a child to, right? Like say cycling. I have a 6-year-old grandson and I have a feeling you're going to hear a lot about him because he's my typical ECCE kid who goes to school, who's getting on everyone's nerves, sitting at home in the pandemic. Let's take riding a bicycle. A child is able to ride a bicycle because he's equipped with the skills. He learns that skill. While he's learning that skill, he's not only learning the skill of riding a bicycle, he's also learning social responsibility, rules, how to behave on the road. And when he applies his skill of riding a bicycle on the road, bicycling, being safe, and making sure others are safe, that becomes a competency. Are we clear? Shiba, are we clear? Can I have a thumbs up? I can see some of you. Just show me a thumbs up. Usha Kumari, Priya, yes, I can see some of you. Just give me a thumbs up if I'm clear. My second question to you, I think we have explained ability. You are able to do something. A skill is something we need to hone, and that comes from a lot of practice. It comes from practice. It comes from making a lot of mistakes. The wonderful thing about play is you are allowed to make mistakes, and you will learn only if you make mistakes. Science tells you that children learn better when they make mistakes rather than when they learn without making mistakes. Because the more mistakes you make, the better you learn, the more neural patterns, the more patterns are drawn on the brain, and your learning is better. It doesn't mean we get children to make mistakes. It means it's okay if they make mistakes. Competencies are very crucial. I'm going to share all this in a slide a little later. Competencies are very important because a competency is the conversion of a skill and ability in everyday life. It's not just okay if I have these skills. My second question to you, and your responses have been wonderful. My second responses to you, let's get down to the power of play. What is the importance of play? Not just for children, even for adults. My second question to you, and then I'm going to share a short video. What is the importance of play? Mukesh started off by saying play is the password too. Let's have responses. What are the advantages of play? Who's going? Who else? I still haven't started off getting any responses. What are the advantages of play? Who's going to start typing? Yes, they can frame teams. Yes, Lars 26. I guess that lab 26, that must be mental health. Now I'm getting responses for the advantage of play. You can frame teams, you're happy. Play allows children to use their creativity, remove stress, fantastic. Mentally fit, physically fit, Padma Priya, yes. Learning rules and regulations, teamwork. Let me catch up with these guys on Facebook. Joan George, play helps you to relax and enjoy what you are doing. And that's a wonderful reason to do something because you love doing it. It's a password to physical and mental. Mohit, Clement, no cheating. Mukesh has already mentioned that. Yeah, go on. You learn leadership. Yes, you enjoy while you learn. You understand to be cool at play. Deepa Srinivas, Facebook, excellent. Gives you motivation, improves holistic development. Yes, let me catch up with chat on Zoom. If they're in the sports arena, they can be role models in future. Talking of role models, Lab 26, I don't know what your original name is. I think we would all agree that the best sports person that we have seen in our lifetime is MS Dhoni. Can I see some thumbs up on that if you agree with me? MS Dhoni's leadership qualities, putting others in front, leading the team, coaxing them. You know, he's always behind his team. All right. All right. So your attention, let's go back to what is the importance. Informal way of learning. Yes, Rajshri Ramachandran, informal way of learning. Play keeps us healthy, brings joy. Children develop and learn as they participate. Yes. Right. Okay. Wonderful responses. So I'll try to capture it all a little later. I'm just going to Prasid, Srijit, can you just play that little video about that school in Finland?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. We'll do that.
I'm just going to play you a short, quick video. I was in Finland, as many educators were. I'm just going to show you this video and then let's take the learning from that video. The point I'm trying to make is the risk at play, making mistakes at play. I think one of the things in our time now, we are so afraid of children playing. Don't go here, you will fall. Don't do this, you will fall. You will break your hand, you will break your leg. We are preventing children from experimenting, exploring. When I was a child, I'm 65, I'm going to be 66 shortly. That many years ago, when I was a child, you could only find me on the mango tree. And I don't know how many times we didn't jump down, we fell down, we were pushed down. The number of scrapes we had, the number of times we fell off the bike and we learned. We never had trainer wheels. We never had baby bikes. We had the big sturdy bikes my father would ride and we had to learn from that. One of the very important aspects of play is the risk at play. If you look at that school, there is no school compound. There is a school teachers, principals, participants. It's not a park. Imagine a school in India with a lake bordering its perimeter. Now, as you all know, Finland has about 90% of Finland is covered with either parks, with either lakes or forests. Srijit, can you share the other picture, please?
Yes, ma'am. We'll do that.
That photo. So what do they do in Finland? We'll just wait a minute for Srijit to No, the photo. Is that the photo? Yes, that's the photo, that one. So what do you see here? So what do they do in Finland? Rather than prevent the children from going to the lake, so the day we were shooting that picture at the lake, those children were actually taken to the lake, and this is 5 degrees, 4 degrees or 5 degrees minus. It's bitter cold. And these children from their playground were taken to the lake, were made to jump into the lake with their clothes on, and they had to swim to the shore. I can't imagine how many schools will do this in India. And why did they do this? Because when children are playing, they also wanted to teach them responsibility, risk-taking, life skills. And what is the life skill that they are learning here? Yeah, Srijit, thank you. You can shut that down. So what is the life skill they are learning here? They are learning, if by accident you fall into a lake, you should know how to manage. There are lakes and forests everywhere. So rather than put fences around the lake, children are encouraged to play near the lake. They are taught to swim with permission of parents. They're taught to swim. The idea is fall into freezing water with your clothes on and learn by yourself how to survive. So with play, there can be a lot of survival skills. Of course, coaches are around. All right. So I thought that was a very important aspect of play that we talked. We heard so much about play. I'm capturing a lot of this in the PowerPoint. Self-safety. Yes, Padmapriya, self-safety. Srijat, can you play the other video, please? The importance of structured play.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Before you start, you can just keep it on. I'm going to give you instructions, participants, everyone. This is a video. Now there are two kinds of play, which we will come to shortly. There is structured play and there is unstructured play, what we call structured play and free play. Now structured play, as you know, as the term goes, is structured. It's led by an adult. There are rules, there are goals. There is some learning that comes out of it. Very specific. We will come to that in a while. This is a video on unstructured play. What is unstructured play? Free play. Now you have an exercise here. While the video is going on, it gives you 10 tips. It gives you 10 advantages of unstructured play. You can, and it's not you don't need to worry whether you can understand the English. You can see the subtitles. You can read the subtitles. So follow the subtitles, and I want you to take down the 10 points. So you're going to read and you're also going to work together. I hope you have pen and paper at hand. So take down, and after this video, we will discuss the 10 points. Yes, Srijit. Okay, wonderful, wasn't it? So did you get the 10 points? What points did you get? Now start chatting. I've got my 10 points. I was taking them along with you. What did you get? Were you able to take down? It was nothing for you to listen. All the wordings were right down. Start typing. I'm waiting. What did you get? Did you read the lines? Did you read the lines? What did you get? Peer interaction, yes. Ishwari, good. A sense of freedom, self-confidence, peer interaction, imagination and fantasy, yes. Value silence. Satya, I'm glad you got that. Tinker and thinker. Good. Space to think, social growth, value silence, yes. Peer interaction and social growth. Wow, yes. Very good. Very good, children. You're all following, paying attention in the class. I'm sorry to talk to you like that. I'm sure I'm older than all of you. Okay, right. Let me see if these guys on Facebook have caught up with us. They learn how to create on their own, time and space. Yes, Catherine. Leela, Catherine, okay, Leela, Achutan, learn freedom. Gain a sense of freedom, yes. Own pace. They work at their own pace. Mutthalakshmi, yes. Feel a sense of freedom, free play. Help them to face failures. That's excellent. Maya Balan, I'm glad you got that. Okay, let me just capture it and then I'll go to the PowerPoint in a bit. So I'm glad that you guys are paying attention, following me on both sides, both on Facebook. And so I've got my points down. I worked with you. Let me read what I put down. No, I wasn't cheating. I didn't do this earlier. I did it along with you. Okay, the first point I have is open-ended work. What's an open-ended work? An open-ended work is every activity doesn't have to have a goal. Every activity doesn't have, what did you learn from this, right? Sometimes, what are you doing? Nothing, I just learned, I'm simply nothing I'm doing. So it's nice for children to be occupied just doing nothing. They enjoy doing something, they play. So it's an open-ended work. They're doing it because they love it. That's what is meant by open-ended. There doesn't have to be a specific learning objective. There doesn't have to be a goal. There doesn't have to be a parent or a teacher asking, so what did you learn from this? I mean, you don't have to kill every activity. What is the learning? What is the learning is only for adults. Second point I have is they have freedom and they have control. They have control over what they are doing. So what we are discussing is unstructured play. What is unstructured play? When they can do what they want, when they can play whatever they want, just go to your room and do what you want, right? Or go to the garden and do what you want. So my first point I took down was open-ended work. Second is they have freedom and they have control. If it's a structured game, it's the parent or the teacher or the adult or the mother who's giving you the rules and trying to say, don't do this, and no, this is not how you should do it. That is also important. That is also, it's coming up in this slide. When you do that, there is a very specific goal that we are looking at. The third point I have, which I saw many of you have, they have space to tinker and be thinkers. What's to tinker? Tinker means to just fool around, open something up. You know, you give a child a toy and the first thing a child does wants to open and see what is inside. And then that's when we whack the child and say, I just gave it to you now. Why did you go and do? Children are curious, right? We can't give them expensive toys. First of all, I'm against expensive toys. I have grandchildren, and the rule in our house is that we buy them nothing more than 500 rupees, at the most 1,000. No fancy toys, no gizmos, no buying thousands of rupees worth, and no 10,000 rupee worth of car. All that is nonsense. Please do not do that. So tinkering is they are left to their own devices, meaning they can do what they want. They just fool around. There's no one to look over their shoulder. You have to keep an eye on them to make sure they are safe. Apart from that, leave them be. So they can tinker and they can also think. I overhear my grandson, oh, where does this go? I have to figure out where this goes. Why did I do that? No, this is not working. I must figure out a way. Now I've got the hang of it, right? So I hear all these thoughts. He speaks aloud. So we just pay attention. We just listen, because as an educator, I'm interested in his thought process. I'm interested in how he's thinking, but I just leave him be. Fourth point I have is they learn at their own pace. There is a lot of learning happening while play. So they learn at their own pace. The next point I have, they learn at their own unique way. They learn in their own unique way, right? Everyone has a unique style. Everyone has a unique way. Sometimes when there's unstructured play, my 6-year-old grandson plays with a 9-year-old neighbor, and I listen into their conversation. The girl is, I've got a doll, you're a boy, you play with a car. And he said, who says only girls? There are no toys for boys and girls. Everyone can play anything, right? And she says, no, I'm a girl. I have to wear pink and you have to wear blue. And we raised our grandson with no gender bias. So he says, no, we'll play with your doll first, and then we'll play with my truck. So I'm listening. I'm not interfering. I'm not going to give a lecture on gender bias. That will come later, right? So this is the advantage of unstructured play, where you can actually monitor and you know how your children are thinking. Right, the next point I have is social growth and peer interaction. By the way, guys, you had all these points. You had all these points. I'm just doing a recap. I saw all these points both on Zoom and on Facebook. So congratulations, all of you. But I'm just capping up. Like a good teacher, I'm doing a recap. So the next point I have, what point is that? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. My sixth point is social growth and interaction, peer interaction, playing with kids of their own age. The next point I loved, which many of you caught on, is they value silence. When you hear them play by themselves, they don't shout. You will find that they are, otherwise you're saying, don't shout and don't scream and put that down and what's that noise happening and blah, 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 all that is not there. Sometimes when they are so silent, you say, what are they doing? They're so silent. You get worried that they're so silent. And you ask, I can't hear anything. What are you doing? I'm playing, but what are you doing? Then you go peep and see they're engrossed. That is the best focus that you can get from children when they are engaged in unstructured play with their own goals in their own unique way, doing what they like doing. And then you have, yes, it's a prop to fantasy. It's a door open to fantasy and imagination. They can imagine. Children these days, my grandson is all with Paw Patrol and PJ Masks and I don't know. And now I'm trying to get him go back to Magic School Bus and things like that, because you're all the time saving the world and wanting to, save the world. Diwali crackers, he went to the terrace and he said, look, they are destroying the planet. I have to put on my mask. I have to put on my cape and I have to go and save the world. And that is fantastic. Isn't that fantastic? Because they got that from the videos that they watch. So it gives them a lot of scope for fantasy and imagination, and it gives them space to be. What do you mean by space to be? Just let them do what they want, right? And then the last point, they learn as they play. That's a very important point. They learn as they play, and they also learn a very important point. They learn how to learn, right? So unstructured play, they learn how to learn, and that is one of the very most important aspects. Right, I'm going to share a screen. Now, from now on, it's going to be PowerPoint. You can either, Srijit, you need to take me around. I hope I don't mess up. Share. Can you guys see my PowerPoint?
Yes, ma'am. Please continue.
Shiba, can you see? Thumbs up, please. Shiba, unfortunately, your face is right in front of me, so you're like the front bencher girl. I can't see the back benchers. I hope you're all listening to me. Okay. Shiba, Philip, maybe a principal of a school. I don't know. It doesn't matter. Okay. For me, everyone, you're all my students. Right from now on till, I don't know, I have to keep track of time now. So you can take photos. You can take, what are these called? I don't know what you call them. You just take or ask Password to send you this, or just take pictures or take screenshots. Right, let's start with this lovely poem. It's called the Nothing Poem. When children come home at the end of day, questions are asked as they scurry to play. Tell me, what did you do in school today? Nothing. I did nothing, the child may say. Perhaps nothing means that I played with blocks, I tied my own shoes, or found beautiful rocks. Maybe the bird eggs hatched that day. Or maybe I found a new friend to play. Maybe today was the very first time my scissors followed a straight line. Perhaps I learned a new song and sang all the words all day long. Maybe I watched a flower in bloom and held a crying hand in the afternoon. When you're in preschool and your heart has wings, nothing can mean some wonderful things. Wasn't that lovely? Wasn't that a beautiful poem? So this poem is about children. What did you learn? I asked my grandson, what did you do in school today? I played. What did you learn? Yeah, I played and I did this. Most often children will say, what did you do in school? I did nothing. But look at the things that the children have done. They watched nature. They've learned how to use the scissors. I held a crying hand. Maybe I held the hand of a child who was crying. There's so much that goes on, and formal learning, learning literacy and numeracy is not the only thing about. So all these poems, everything is there. You can take screenshots as I told you, or if Password is going to send you this PowerPoint, you can just keep it all or take photos, but this is good material, teachers. I mean, I've really taken the trouble. This is not about me. I really wanted to help you. So I put down some points which are relevant. So at start, I started off with, what does play mean? I asked you, what is playing? What are the advantages of playing? You gave me so many, and look at what else there is. You can read for yourself, but let me just take you down. I'm going to go row by row. I don't need to read it aloud. You can read, but let's do it together so that we register. Exploring. When children are playing, this is both structured and unstructured, right? You're exploring, you're trying, inventing, sharing, relaxing, pausing, jumping, singing, being someone else, pretend play. Children love pretend play.
Jyoti ma'am, sorry to interrupt. Can we play this on full share mode, on full screen mode? Because
I'll do that. I'll do that.
Yeah, perfect, ma'am.
Is it fine now, Prasid?
Yes, ma'am. Perfect.
All right. Sorry, it didn't strike me. Okay. So being someone else, caring, writing, trying things out, following, storytelling. Storytelling. We all know the Thirsty Crow story. Children narrate the Thirsty Crow story. One of the things I hate is 3-year-olds and 4-year-olds telling complete story. One day, crow was thirsty. He looked for water here and there. He went, he saw a pot. Storytelling is because children don't understand what they are saying. They don't understand what they are saying. So don't make them mug up a story which they don't understand a word of it. Their speech is not clear. There is no clarity of speech. Storytelling is what you say. And if it's a storytelling that children say, make sure that they understand and every word is clear. Thirsty Crow story. One day a crow was thirsty. He looked for water here and there. He went to a river. He went to a lake. It was hot summer. There was no water. What skills? Critical thinking. Critical thinking. This is not about mug up a story. Look at the crow, clever crow. Look at the crow. It went to a river, it went to a lake, it went to a pond. What are these? Sources of water. It didn't go to the sea. Because a crow knows you cannot drink seawater. Right? Then it went to a village. Why did it go to a village? Because there are people in the village. Because the village is inhabited by humans and humans have water. It went directly to a house. It went to the well of a house. It didn't even bother to go to a lake in the village because it's hot summer and there's no water. Critical thinking, emotional skills. A crow doesn't have a heart attack. You do not read, no water in Chennai, crow had a heart attack, but you say no water in Chennai, people had heart attack, right? So it went to a well. You know the story, it put pebbles, creative thinking. So if you look at the skills from a Thirsty Crow story that you tell a child, which is also play, which is structured play, you have critical thinking, you have problem solving, you have decision making, you have creative thinking, emotional thinking, managing stress, so many. So we leave all this, we don't explain all this to a child, and we tell a child to mug up a story as it is, and parents will make it to us. One day, a child will say something, no, what did Miss say? Miss Ananga, black crow, da solano, da solano. Nothing like that. We don't even allow children to think freely. So I think, so storytelling, when we talk, I'm going to share a list of competencies I'm only giving you the stuff that CBSE has given. All these are a mix of skills, abilities, and competencies. This is, participants, teachers, and my colleagues, a very important chart. If children can pick up these, they can be better human beings than you and I. So let's continue with the middle row. They learn talking, communicating, imagining, risk-taking. Allow them to take risks. One of the biggest things we have in our problem as adults is that we are so afraid for children to fail. I hate this concept of competition, and I hate this consolation prize. Console them with a prize. Let children fail. It's okay. You didn't do well. That child did better, but you did well. I'm sure you can do better. Risk-taking. Don't fall. You will fall. Your dress will get spoiled. You will do this, that one. And I remember when I was a school teacher for 20 years. When I was 24, when I walked into a school, very young and very brash and very no manners at all. So my principal took me to the library and said, I want you to improve the library. I said, first, you please get rid of all these old cupboards and get rid of no locking the cupboards. Let the books be open. Children will take books and steal and they will spoil them. I said, how are they going to read if you're going to lock the books up? Right? So risk take. In any library, as you know, there is that amount of money given for children to break toys and to ruin books. Making choices. I'm continuing with reading. Challenging, running, communicating, making friends, role playing, negotiating. You play first and I will play later. You stand here and then I will do this. First you, then me, or first me, then you. No. Last time you played first, so this time I will start. Negotiating. And negotiating in today's Kisan Andolan is such an important point. You can't flex your muscles and say, I am this and you have to listen to me. Boss, it doesn't work anywhere. It will not work in the KG. Negotiating, teach them to negotiate. I want to sit in the front. Let them talk it out. Right? Counting, feeling, leading, building, thinking, daydreaming, giving, sharing toys, working together, turn taking, risking. A couple of them are repeated. Listening, being yourself, acting, reading, measuring. My grandson was playing something. He said, I want the measuring tape. I said, what are you going to? I want the measuring tape. I want to measure. He does. He is just 6. He does not know centimeters, but he knows the concept of a measuring tape. So I don't say, what do you know about a measuring tape? Don't be an idiot. I give him the measuring tape because he knows the concept of measuring and he's asking me for the measuring tape. What he wants to do with that in his structured play is his business, not mine. Provided I teach him to be responsible and return the tape to me. Problem solving and laughing. So this is the initial, okay. Just a few definitions of what is play. Just a few definitions of what is play. Prasid, just give me a heads up on time. I just don't want to overshoot. 15 minutes. 4:15. Yeah, 4:15. Just tell me when it is 4:15.
Okay, ma'am. I'll do that.
Right. So what is play? These are definitions. Engaging in activity for enjoyment or recreation rather than a serious purpose is play. Engaging in an activity for enjoyment or recreation and not for a serious purpose. Serious purpose is also important, which we do in the classroom. The play can be focused and goal-oriented. Play doesn't mean that you're just having fun, and there's nothing wrong with having fun. I have interactive workshops. I do workshops for CBSE Kendras. I have done workshops for principals. And I play some silly games as brain breaks, and everyone wants to join. In fact, there are schools that I go to regularly when the principal tells one of the teachers, when Jyoti is playing a game, tell me. So the principal leaves her work and comes and joins my silly game, hands up and hands down and right and left. We all love play, right from housey to whatever. The play can be focused and goal-oriented. So this is structured play. We're talking about structured play. Play isn't separate from the daily grind of life. What do you mean by the daily grind of life? What are we doing in every day? Negotiating, risk-taking, problem solving, listening, communicating, focusing, all those points we saw in those 3 columns. We're doing all that every day. And children don't see maths, science, physics in everyday life. They see those 3 columns in everyday life. And how do they get those skills and abilities and competencies? Not from the textbook, teachers, not from the textbook. Play is the absence of stress. Bernard Shaw said, you don't grow old because you don't stop playing because you grow old. You grow old because you stop playing. Let me repeat that line. Bernard Shaw, you know who Bernard Shaw was? One of the greatest of brains. He said, you don't stop playing because you have grown old. You grow old because you stop playing. Play is the highest form of research. You know who said that? Play is the highest form of research? Einstein. Einstein said that. The kind of research that children can do through play. If I give my grandson permission to open up his toys, I think he will become the best inventor. He doesn't need to go to school and college. Play is not a break from learning. Play is learning. Play is serious learning for children. It is the work they do in childhood. So it's the work they do. You and I work. Right now we are working. How do children work? They help you in the household chores, yes, but play is the way they are learning. And the next point, play gives kids a chance to practice what they are learning. So they're learning negotiating, they're learning risk-taking, they're learning all those points we read, and it gives you, I took my grandchild down. I mean, my grandchild lives once a month. He comes and stays with me over a weekend. He's 6, but he's tall. So he went down, I took him down into the building. There were 3 girls there. And he was ready to run. He loves to run, like Forrest Gump. He just wants to run. And these girls look like 2nd and 3rd standard children. And he said, hi, I'm going for a run. Would you like to join me? Like a big shot. I asked him, which class are you in? He said, oh, I'm going to be 6. He's not yet 6. He's going to be 6. He said, I'm going to be 6. He said, you're going to be 6. We are in grade 2. We are not talking to you. He said, okay. I mean, he didn't cry, he didn't fight. He just accepted it as, okay, they don't want to play, fine. All right, structured play. We're defining structured play. Structured play, or play with a purpose, offers learning objectives. It's a purpose. You have a goal. So what are we going to learn? We're going to learn Simpson-Simons. We're going to learn nouns. We're going to learn math. We're going to learn addition. We're going to learn subtraction. Even if you say, look around the classroom and tell me what shapes do you see, is a form of play. It can be physical or mental, right? You can look at the furniture, look at the door. There's so much learning that can happen around. The goal is to let the child have the fun and keep kids active while learning. Let them have fun. I need fun at my age. I do a lot of yoga and Tai Chi and meditation and all that. But I can freak out. I can still climb a tree. They give children the confidence to learn. What are they learning? They can learn competencies such as social, communication, problem solving, any of the competencies, any of those list of the 3 rows we saw earlier. They can learn your literacy and numeracy, nature talk. All your subjects can be taught through play. And I'm glad that in the ECCE, apart from numeracy and literacy, you don't have any other formal curriculum. There is no EVS 2 up to class 2 in the CBSE board, and that's fantastic. So I was asking my grandson the other day, what class did you have today online? And he said, oh, ma'am told a story. And what was the story? Actually, when he told me the story, it is EVS. So like a story, which I'm sure you are all doing. So they can also work on important physical and abilities like gross and fine motor skills. So structured play is instructor-led. Instructor-led means it could be a teacher, it could be parent or any adult. Rules are put down. So you have rules which are very important. A parent, a teacher, or a trusted adult, underline that word, trusted adult. So don't go off, allow children, these days we're afraid of child abuse. We have to be careful. That uncle is calling all the children to play, that auntie is calling. We also have to be careful about that. So that's why I put down a trusted adult or even an older sibling. Someone sets the tone of the play. Tone of the play means what are the rules? How are we going to do? How are we going to behave? The instructor then helps kids to meet their goals and review learning. Structured play for learning is best done in 10 to 15 minute chunks. 10 to 15 minutes in the ECC. I taught English in the higher secondary for 20 years. And my 40 minutes class, 5 minutes comes and goes this way, that way. Even in the higher secondary, I broke up my class into 2 chunks. 35 minutes, I was a very popular teacher. They loved me, but 35 minutes, I could not go listen to me, listen to me, listen to me. No one will listen to you. 10 to 15 minute chunks of activity, structured. Structured play, despite the serious and stiff sounding name, can have a lofty goal, meaning they can learn something very serious. They can learn something very important, like a life skill, like saving their lives. Structured play does not need to be organized or formal. So these include board games, puzzles, sorting games. One of the things I do when I go to buy Kaigari or go to the greengrocers, I bring all the veggies and I put them in the middle of the drawing room where we have our fridge, and I tell my grandson, sort out the vegetables. That's a job I hate. I gave him plastic covers. I put everything. You have onions rolling here. I deliberately allow them to roll because I want him to go and get it and put it in the center. He sorts it out, puts it in the covers, and he puts them inside the fridge. Sorting. Any sorting, clothes. Get the clothes from outside. Put away baby's clothes, your clothes, mama's clothes, daddy's clothes. Sorting. Separate the t-shirts, separate the clothes which need to go to the laundry. Games, organized sports, craft activities, an outing, song, dance, a project. All these come under structured play. Free and unstructured play. Kids are always saying, I'm bored, what do I do? Boredom is good for kids. Boredom is good for kids, provided you don't find the solution for their boredom. Right? So when my kids are of course grown up. When my children were young, 10, 12, Ma, I'm bored, what do? I said, go jump into a lake. When children are bored, they need to create their own activities. They need to come up with their own things, or what could I do? Don't give ideas to them. You are killing their creativity. They're killing their curiosity. And when they do what they want, they say, why are you doing this? Go do this. No, don't. You can't have double standards. So boredom is good for kids. If you need structured thing, okay, you tell me what you would like to do because it's their time. You're bored, you can't find anything. After some time, they'll irritate you so much. And you say, okay, what would you like to do? You tell me what you would like to do. Throw it open to them. Because if you say, shall we do a puzzle? Shall we do India map? And shall we do states of India? And they will say, oh no. Self-exploration and imagination. Self-exploration, self-direction. If you can add self-direction there, very important. Importance of unstructured play is self-directed, meaning it comes from them. You can't keep thinking for them all the time. Because tomorrow when they have having problem with my mother-in-law, they have to be self-directed. You can't remote control your mother-in-law from here. Activities, so many. Provide blankets, blank sheets for writing. I'm sure you all have this. My grandson is going to come next week and he comes once a month. Why once a month? Because my daughter doesn't allow, she wants him to get used to a structured life. So I keep blank sheets for writing, drawing, coloring, crayons, paints. Let them explore the toy basket. I have a basket where I put everything in. Easy. You can't, put everything in and that goes off. He loves his toy basket here. What is here? What is there? And sometimes I hide things in it. Pretend play, dressing up. Pretend play is very important for children. They like to, my grandson likes to be, of course, now PJ Masks. I don't know if you people are familiar with PJ Masks and Paw Patrol, and there are so many of these, but they're all superheroes. So he sits in the chair and he starts shaking. And he says, I said, what are you doing? He says, I'm getting activated. The words they pick up, I'm getting activated. I have to launch my rocket. I have to go to space and I have to save this lunar girl. He goes on and on. I was cycling with him and he picked up a strange looking stone. And he told me, you know what? I think this is what the lunar girl brought from moon. Babre, I said, where is this guy's imagination going? It comes from free play. It comes from pretend play. Tomorrow, the teacher does not need to teach him what is to activate, does not need to teach him a rocket launcher, does not need to teach him all those space words that these boys, these children are so interested in. Building blocks. He comes up with the most creative things with building blocks, playing by himself in the garden, using their material for other purposes. My daughter gets a little irritated. I have, sometimes these games, there are these blocks, and you have to arrange it in that colors and you have to move about it. It's a puzzle. And he will take those wooden blocks and rather than use them for the game, he starts making furniture with it. So when I walked into his house, he said, I'm trying to make a cupboard. Can you help me? I said, but these are wooden rectangular pieces. How are you going to build a cupboard? No, I want to. I know it's not possible, but I want to try. I think that's great. And my daughter was shouting, this is what he does with these things. He doesn't use it for the purpose. And I don't counteract my daughter in front of him, but then I tell my daughter later, it's okay. Using one material for another is a very important sign of an active imagination. And when I opened my mouth this day, she said, Ma, don't give me all your educator nonsense. I'm going to give him one tight slap and tell him to behave himself. Making tents from bed sheets. They got him a tent. Someone gave him a gift. We don't buy anything more than 1,000 max. Someone gave him a tent. You get these tents. Or did his grandfather give? I don't know. He will put the tent aside, but he will take all the bed sheets and make his own tent. And this again irritates my daughter. She says, why doesn't he use the tent he's given? Why is he making tent with bed sheets? Of course, we all know there's a lot of educative value. Chores at home. Involve children at home. Laundry, putting the clothes in the washing machine, putting clothes in the dishwasher, lay the plate, take the cups, bring it there. Cleaning. My grandson, my son-in-law cannot start the wash without my grandson. Wait, daddy, how can you start without me? Because he has to take the dishes. He has to help. He wants to, of course, sometimes he doesn't want to and he just fools around. But then they make it very clear. If you want to help, you do it properly. And then they say, this is how you need to do it. Helping around the house, very important. It may not be play. It is a form of unorganized, free structured play. This is an important slide. So if you are sleeping, wake up. 6 stages of play. That's a loud clap to wake everyone up if you are sleeping. Active imagination. Yes, I'm just following a little on Facebook. I'm sorry, I'm not talking to you guys, anyone, focusing on the work underhand, on hand. Right. Stages of play, unoccupied play. I mean, it's not from one to the other. There are different ways to play. If you find, let's take babies, for example, it starts with unoccupied play, meaning random movements. Like the baby may just turn and pick up something and put it, or a child, is beginning to feel a fidgety when he starts looking at his blocks and, It's just unoccupied play. They're looking around, wondering what to do, going to the toy cupboard, opening, or children gathering together. Yeah, what shall we do? And who's going to, someone will say, hey, let's play. The first stage is unoccupied play. Random movements, no clear purpose in the beginning. You know, they just shout out, I live in a colony, there are 5 blocks of flats, and some kid will go out and shout and call out the others, hey, come down, hey, you come down, you come down. Everyone comes down, and then what? They don't know. And then they start. That is the stage of unoccupied play. Very important, because children are gathering together, building a consensus. If you notice children beginning to play, they all crowd around. So they're getting into a group. Unoccupied, solitary play. Sometimes even in a group, you will have some children who prefer to play on their own. When children start to play on their own, children don't seem to notice other children playing. Sometimes I see this, I don't know, as an educator, you're only observing. So I stand on the balcony and I watch same group of children playing something, whereas one child on his own is riding a bicycle, or he's looking at something. He's doing something, but doesn't feel the need to join the play. So children go through these stages, solitary play, where children start to play on their own. They do notice, or they may not notice, but they're happy to be on their own. There's no need for parents to say, go join them. If you want your child to pick up social skills, you can tell the child, go join them. Don't trust the child. The child will automatically find it's time to go join a group. Nothing wrong in solitary play. And you'll be surprised, I'm a very social person, but as a child, I loved solitary play. Even now, I love to be by myself. I mean, some of the guys from Password know me, Paul knows me. I just love to travel on my own, go sit in a mountain, sit there. I'm planning my trip to Shillong for a month. So it's nice, solitary, even at any age is good. Onlooker play. What's onlooker play? As the word says, children are looking at others, watching others. The child who is looking, they may ask questions. What are you playing? How is this played? So what are you going to do next? And some child may ask, are you going to join? No, I'm just watching. Have you observed all this? You can watch it on the play field. You can watch it in your house. You can watch it in the group. And someone will say, come and join us. So from unoccupied play, they can move to solitary play, and then onlooker play, and then parallel play. What's parallel play? Parallel play is when children begin to play side by side. So these children are seeing what the others are doing and is doing the same thing, but not ready to join. That's fine. But in a PT period, you may, in a structured play, you may want to bring all of them together. You may see some with unoccupied and onlooker play, and you may want to say, come Priya, come John, come, let's join. And they may not be too happy, but they will join slowly. So unoccupied play, solitary play, onlooker play, parallel play, when children begin to play side by side with other children without any interaction. But they're paying attention to each other. They're paying attention to, hey, look, see, what are they playing? Hey, look there, yeah, what they're playing. Have you seen children do that? Hey, look, yeah, what are they playing? Hey, they're playing like us only, yeah. It's okay. Associative play. When children start asking questions to each other, they have similar goals, but there are no set rules. Associative play. They're associating now. They ask each other questions in the group. No goal, no rules. And then starts the cooperative play, which is they begin to share ideas, they begin to establish rules. If you go to your balcony, if you watch children and play, you just see this children playing. We don't realize all the other stages that have gone before that. Right? So this is a wonderful slide. They're very important. I felt the need for you, it's a certificate. I felt the need for you to learn some fundas rather than just talk and give a lecture with examples. I thought you needed some basic fundamentals, right? These are all information which, so solitary play, so that's there for you to see. I hope you can. Okay, quickly I'll go on to, I hope I'm not running out short of time. This is from the NEP. We're all familiar with the NEP, the new education policy. This is the brain of the child. And this is what NEP wants you to focus on. Not teaching Baba Black Sheep, not teaching counting 1 to 10, not teaching, yes, that too. But just take a look at this. I'm starting from the left, my left. Developing curiosity, logical thinking, problem solving, arts, craft and music, relationship with nature, colors, shape, alphabet and numbers. There's just one part of your curriculum: teamwork and collaboration, play-based discovery, ethics, self-identity, etiquette, behavior, emotional development. Now, do you have textbooks for all this? Do you have a curriculum? No. What is your curriculum? Play. You can cover all this through structured play, unstructured play, through worksheets, through music, through dance, through videos, through conversations. These are all the competencies and skills which are required by the NEP. This is another shot, again, 21st century from the NEP. You will all be starting with this. At the left are the foundational literacies. Literacy, numeracy, scientific. Apart from literacy and numeracy, literacy is reading, numeracy is numbers. It's just not numbers. It's learning the value of counting. There's so much more to that. Scientific inquiry, critical thinking, problem solving, decision making, ICT, digital. Children can handle the mobile better than us. Financial literacy, learning the value of things. Cultural, civic. What is civic? Behavior. Wearing a mask. You know, kids these days, including grandchildren, don't leave the house without masks, sanitizers. Critical thinking, all this we have covered when we talked about, remember all these points we have covered when we talked about what is the importance of play? You are covering all the skills and competencies which are required by the National Education Policy.
Ma'am, just a reminder, it's 4:15 now.
All right, thank you. Thank you. And just give me a reminder at 4:30.
Sure, ma'am. I'll do that.
I hope I'm done by that. I should. NEP broad objectives. NEP broad objectives. I'm covering the NEP because I don't want you to think play means KG to second standard means children only play. No, it doesn't mean they only play. Right? And we are also working on textbooks which cover life links, which cover life skills, which cover competencies, which cover how do you transfer the learning of a story into how you can use it in everyday life. So what are these are the broad objectives. Why I'm sharing this is to let you know how important this stage is. And teaching children how to read, how to write is just one aspect of which I'm not covering because, you know, vocabulary, I'm an ELT specialist. I can cover so much on English language training. I'm not covering because I know my friend Sina is doing it later, and this is just about something else. Let's look at those letters in bold. So what are the broad objectives of NEP? Every child should be valued, respected. You're focusing on the physical and motor developments. Motor developments is how to fine and gross and fine motor skills. Good nutrition. Enable a child to get effective communication. Integration of the senses. Intellectual curiosity. Social skills. I'm just reading the important points, right? You can get these PPT through password and you can take it. So I'm just focusing on those highlighted phrases. Intellectual curiosity, social skills, emotional well-being and mental health, which Mukesh started off. I'm sorry to call Mukesh by his name because we go a long way. We've known each other more than 40 years back. Aesthetic appreciation. Aesthetic, when my grandson was 3 years, he would sit with me at the steps and said, nice breeze. He would appreciate the clouds, the sky. Because not that he's a child born with all this, but it's the school which has sensitized him. It's the school. I give full credit to the school to what my grandson is. Being an educator, I know the value of the schools that he's going to his preschool and to his KG and grade 1 and whatever. Cultural, smooth transition to the next stage and overall personality. Why I'm sharing this with you is honing all these skills can be done through play. A craft activity, a music activity, a dance activity, a picture reading. You can cover aesthetic appreciation, culture. I know all schools celebrate Onam and this festival and Pongal and Diwali and Christmas and Eid, and we celebrate all the festivals in school. Cultural, smooth tribe, overall personality, everything, intellectual curiosity. I'm just going back, nutrition, effective communication, respecting people. Everything can be conveyed through, can be taught through play, structured and unstructured. So this is again what I picked up from the curriculum of the NEP for ECCE. Look at that on top, alphabet and literacy, numeracy, counting. With that, your academic is covered. Look at everything else. Puzzles, colors, shapes, music, movements, games, language, character building, mental health. All this, as I've been repeating, can be honed in the child, can be instilled in the child through play. And more from structured play, when you have a specific objective. I'm sure when you're writing your lesson plans and when you're doing an activity, you're very clear about the learning objectives. What is the outcome? Your learning objectives are more important. My outcome, not what am I going to teach, but what are my children going to be able to do? Right? Most of it, to me, you can cover most of it through play. So what is this? A happy child. Look at the happy child. Again, this is from your NEP. I'm deliberately linking it up with the NEP because I don't want you to think that I'm not focused. And I'm glad that Password thought that power of play was an important topic to cover. I said, I'm not going to cover numeracy and ACCE and all that. I would just like to cover, to me, play is powerful. Look at the learning. So what are the characteristics of a happy child? You want a child to be happy, healthy, an inquirer, confident, communicative, creative, caring, open-minded, resilient. What do you mean by resilient? Get up when you fall. I mean, in play, children fall so many times and they just pick up and they go. Look at the sporting field. I remember Hardik Pandya and KL Rahul, the nonsense they went through after that stupid Karan Johar interview. They were almost banned from cricket. I hope you know what I'm talking about, Hardik Pandya and KL Rahul. And now look at the two. Hardik Pandya is the hero in Australia. And KL Rahul, in my opinion, may be a future Indian captain. Look at the nonsense they went through. They fell, they were called names, and there were people waiting to pull them down. And these are small town boys. They are not sophisticated people. But how they bounced back, they were resilient. I think only sports, I mean, I could be prejudiced, but I think sports play is a place when it teaches you a lot of resilience. You fail in sports, you fall. Cricket, you fall. They crack ribs, they break their skull, and boxing, and they lose teeth, but they get up and start again, right? Resilience is risk-taking. Struggle is one of the most wonderful things. You become a lifelong learner, you are mindful. Okay, couple of slides to me are very important, associated with play. I was talking about struggle of Pandya and Rahul, for example, or everyone who has struggled, even MS Dhoni, who I personally adore as a role model, is where he came from. And all these are small town guys, not your Delhi, Mumbai, Calcutta people, right? Struggle leads to growth. Let children struggle. I'm not able to fix this. I'm getting mad. This is not working. Good. Find a way to make it work. When children are struggling, when my grandson comes and says, I'm not able to do this, fix this for me. I said, I don't know, you fix it. I'll help you. I don't know how to fix it. You try. Let's try. So struggle is very important. And it's only in play that children struggle and we allow them to struggle. When I say struggle, I'm saying disappointment, failure. Look at Bollywood, such a tinsel town. People are committing suicide. I'm sorry to say, I shouldn't be saying such stupid statements. Play makes you resilient. I think I should retract that statement about Bollywood. Struggle leads to growth. If we don't stretch ourselves, we will never realize our full potential. Play, because children are enjoying what they're doing, they're stretching themselves to the full. Struggle versus too much struggle. There is a peak anxiety, not too much, not too less. When the struggle becomes too much, before that, we should support children. Not make them so irritated, they struggle and they drop it in frustration. They have not learned anything. This is very important about struggle. Are they struggling enough at play, but not too much? You don't, sometimes we see in movies how children get bloody and they still, all that is drama that happens in movies. We don't want children to break bones and, bloody their faces. Teach children to ask for help. What is the importance of struggle? Stretch yourself. Learn to ask for help. Learn to realize that it's okay to make a mistake. Learn to realize that however tough a problem is, you can find solutions. You build problem-solving skills in children through struggle. Without struggle, children will not be able to face problems in life. 10-year-old children, 16-year-old children, no mobile given, dying by suicide. We have failed teachers. We have failed. We have focused on our science and maths and chemistry and language and English, and we have not concentrating on how to get a child to live life. Right? So struggle is important. Be there. Too much struggle, not necessary. Tell a child, let me know when you need, I'm there, I'll help you, but you still try. Struggle fosters a growth mindset. The more you struggle, a growth mindset. Once a child knows if it struggles, when it can't handle it, can come to an adult. The child knows, oh, I can take the help of someone to get me there. That's the growth mindset. Then it begins to, the child, as it grows, is not afraid of failure, is not afraid of obstacles. Look at the obstacle race. The obstacle race in a play is meant to put obstacles in your way, and you happily cross all the obstacles, and you even get a prize for it. Why don't we look at life as an obstacle race? Struggle teaches you to manage emotion. What kind of emotion? Frustration, sadness, disappointment. We accept. And I think people accept all this more in play than in any other field. Self-regulation. Struggle helps you to calm yourself. We've all seen the Karate Kid, right? Movies of the Karate Kid. How when he gets angry, and Master Miyagi is always telling him, calm, calm. centered. So self-regulation helps you to be calm, manage your emotions. So we as adults, while watching this, we should tell children, don't get frustrated, take your time, put it away, come back to it later. I'm there to help you, but give it a try. Learn to figure it out yourself. Such support is very essential. Struggle builds superheroes. Superheroes are not made, they are forged. What do you mean by forging? Forging is literally putting steel through fire. Right? So struggle is a very important aspect. I think I have just a couple of slides. Physical courage through play. We talked of so many aspects of play, structured, unstructured, free, why we should play, competencies that we can build on play, importance of struggle in play. And what do we need to face life? We really need courage. And I think play teaches us courage. What kind of courage? Physical courage, social courage. When children are playing, let's take a situation of a group of children playing either an organized game, sport, or they're playing in the colony. Physical courage, it gives them resilience, physical strength, balance, awareness. I can't hit the ball, it will go into that window. I can't go too close, I will fall on you. Awareness. Social, they apologize, they adapt. In play, they adapt, they change. They may take something and say, these are stumps. Moral courage, doing the right thing even if it is uncomfortable. They do this in play. There are so many times in cricket you see that a guy is not out, but he's given out and the captain calls the batsman in and says, no, he's not out, let him play. Moral courage to face up. I cheated. When it comes to play, emotional balance is so important. I feel it's one of the reasons why Srishant was not the brilliant cricketer that he could become, because of maybe a lack of emotional balance, which we as teachers failed him. If Srishant had, more emotional balance, all these things that we talked, Srishant would have been a brilliant cricketer. There could have been other factors too, but yes, emotional courage, being able to self-regulate, intellectual courage. What is intellectual courage? Being able to learn, unlearn, and relearn, which is what 21st century learning is about. And spiritual courage, living with an open heart, khule dil se. And when I see Dhoni in his cricket field, and I think Virat Kohli is a brilliant player, but he has to learn a lot of the broad-mindedness and the large heart that Dhoni has. Dhoni, of course, is a senior. Remember the World Cup? He won the World Cup. But who was carried on the shoulders? Sachin Tendulkar, not Dhoni. As a cricket captain, Dhoni should have been held. But he wanted Sachin Tendulkar, acknowledging the work of Sachin Tendulkar. That to me is a great man. And that comes from a player. So while kids are at play, I'm just finishing, Prasid, I'm just finishing. While kids are at play, what is your role? Not to sit and watch TV. You can watch TV, but supervise, monitor, observe. So much we can learn about our children from the way they interact. Allow self-exploration, involve them when needed. Do not interfere. Be there, make sure you are there. Before they get into trouble, step in. Balance free and structured play. Children can't just play all the time by themselves. Balance structured and unstructured play. They both have a purpose. To me, in everything life, everything is a balance. I'm neither right-wing nor left-wing. I am always stand center, a liberal center. When you're center, you are centered. Balance always works in life. Neither too extreme, na idhar na udhar, beech mein. Hold your own. Be rooted. So balance, free, structured, assess. Play is a good way to assess children. After play, so what did we learn? What did you notice? Why did you do this? What did we do there? What can we learn from the behavior? How can we change ourselves? I could even consolidate learning while watching children at play. You could learn so many things that you could even have a feedback, give parents a feedback, communicate. Right, I think I've come to the end. I hope I haven't bored you all to death with very long PowerPoint. I'm just sharing a last poem. Prasanna is already there waiting for me to shut up.
No, never, never.
I'm just reading this last poem and I'm done. Right. So this is a lovely poem. There are children who play, there are children who take their own time, there are children who pick pebbles. So this poem is about, don't rush the little wild ramblers. Ramblers mean they're rambling, going here. If you say, when you see children walking, some will go in a straight line, some will be here doing this and that, and some children are looking at something, picking up something from the grass. Don't rush them. Don't rush the little wild ramblers, wanderers, dawdlers, and dreamers. Don't push or compare the child who stops to turn over every leaf and pebble. Enough, enough, come, move. Children like to explore. All this is also play. Looking under a leaf, picking up this, picking up that. Don't rush the little child who stops to fill overflowing pockets. Talk to trees and look for shimmering chrysalis underleaf. My grandson, when he goes, always comes up with sticks and stones in his pocket. What are you going to do? I will use it sometime, somewhere. And there's a place for it. Don't rush them. For these children who are sensitive, who are looking around, looking at the sky, looking at the sun, picking up things, who are gentle, who are careful, don't rush them, for they will grow up to be noticers, connectors, conscience keepers, meditators, and the guardians of this galaxy. They will honor and hold this world close to their hearts. Their pace will carry a certain peace and bring rest to the world, right? So I'm done. Thank you. I don't know if there are...
Thank you, ma'am.
Okay.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, ma'am. So it was a wonderful session, actually, which told us again, play is power. And it was all related to ECC curriculum, which was based on the NEP 2020. So it was all about how our children could just acquire new skills, new things through the learning, through play, along with learning. And I think we all are empowered with this session. So she started by talking about the more of neuro patterns through play, more of learning and more of learning possibilities. And she just took us through, again, play, risk of play, and the structured and the free play. And the skills the children could get through play, narrating, demonstrating, negotiating, all those skills which could be cultivated within the minds of the young learners. If we could launch such a free play before learning happens in KG classrooms, it will allow them to focus on the learning areas with more focus, more interest, and tinker is it's a new concept for all our classrooms. And fantasy, imagination, resilience. She was emphasizing on resilience. And it really reminded me of the image of a spring, which when we press, just goes down and gets a little distorted. But when we release, it's back to its stature. So we and our children should be like that. Like springs, resilient. Yes, she referred to the different things. Thank you, ma'am. She referred to these different things, negativity happening around the world, especially during the COVID phase, where resilience as such a quality is very much needed. And I really loved her quote by Albert Einstein, play is the highest form of research. Have we enjoyed it? Have we done it in classrooms? Can we just set up some corners for such free play within our classrooms itself? So don't we think it's okay to play as much as our children need? Maybe not want. And isn't it okay to make mistakes? Because she was stressing upon this point. Let them make mistakes now. Let's correct it now and let them just grow through their mistakes and learn through their mistakes. That was a great learning for me also today. Let them learn, let them play, and let them just grow through their mistakes. And let's just encourage them to make such learnings of their own through such free play. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you so much. It was a wonderful session. I don't have words to express my gratitude. And on behalf of the whole Password team, I'm expressing my gratitude towards you. Thank you so much, ma'am. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you, Prasanna. Thank you very much. And thank you to Password, and thank you to Paul and Prasid and Srijit.
Thank you, ma'am. On their behalf, I'm thanking you. I'm accepting your thankfulness also. I'll tell them also. They are all watching it. And the next, I would like to thank our chief guest who really spared his precious time talking to us about different things which would pandemic phase is such a thing where we will really need all those things, all those learnings. And with his training, great training experience, and his being principal for a long year, a long span of time, he has really enlightened us with his words of wisdom. Next, I would like to thank the participants, principals, the teachers, who amidst all their busy, hectic schedule, while the online learning happens and other things are there at home, for watching us, participating in it and taking assessments. And without you, without the principal, the school heads, and all of you there who are our well-wishers who are watching this live session, without you, this would never have been a successful session. This is the third day, and still we are just going towards the fourth and fifth, and the assessments are also taking place along with this. So let me just remind you the same thing, the video about assessments. Could you please watch it and see the procedure and remove all your doubts, all your ambiguities regarding how to access and take the assessment. Watch it, please, and this will be available in the FB, and also it will be there in the website. So please just go through that and take your learning from there and do the assessment, please, because the participation certificates are waiting for you. And please do not forget to like our page and share, comment, and please follow us. Last, but of course, I cannot just forget my own team, who the technical team headed by Srijit and Prasid and our chairman, everyone who is here within Password. I thank them too for supporting the live program and the sessions till now. Thank you all, and let's have our national anthem now. Thank you.
जनगण मन अधिनायक जय हे भारत भाग्य विधाता पंजाब सिंध गुजरात मराठा द्राविड उत्कल गंगा विंध्य हिमाचल यमुना गंगा उच्चल जलधि तरंगा तव शुभ नामे जागे तव शुभ आशीष मांगे गाहे तव जय गाथा जन गण मंगलदायक जय हे भारत भाग्य विधाता जय हे